So, welcome to the second infusion, where we can talk about whatever we want without fear of spoiling anyone. Today we'll be talking about Game of Thrones.
Season 7, Episode 1? Season 7, Episode 1.
And Dragon Ball Super, Episode, was it 99?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, next is going to be 100. They're going to do something big for that, guaranteed. By the way, episode's name, Krillin's True Power, or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't... Well,
we don't even have to say spoilers.
Well, at least they gave him...
It wasn't that incredible.
He eliminated 3 people. That's pretty incredible.
True.
But in the episode named for him, he gets eliminated. He is the first one of Universe 7 to be eliminated. And that is his true power.
His true power is sacrifice.
Well, you got to see some lovely Krillin and waifu moments.
Yeah. Like, that move they did with that ever-growing ball, it gets faster and faster and bigger and bigger. That was a euphemism.
Someone's getting a second child.
Pan?
And so, the whole episode, we got again to see why I'm avoiding as many spoilers as I possibly can for this, because I am loving the feeling of having no idea what is about to happen.
You mean theoretical spoilers.
Theoretical spoilers.
And Day Zero spoilers.
Right.
Yes.
So basically, was it the last episode or one before that, where Universe 3?
One before that.
Okay, so I think that's a good launching point, because, you know, nobody really knew how quickly the universes would be just gone. Mm-hmm. It was instant.
Yeah. And that's going to be one of those things where someone's going to look back in hindsight, well, of course they deleted it right away.
They told us they were going to do that.
Of course.
But it was, like, all right, I wasn't the only one in the room that sort of thought they're going to pull some bullshit like Super Dragon Balls. Everyone's forgiven, you know?
I think Universe 7 is going to win and wish everybody back.
They are out of existence, though. I don't know. I think there's going to be some sort of shenanigans pulled, but that they allegedly, and now the angel does seem rather suspicious about it.
Yeah.
The Grand Priest or
no, the smiling angel,
the referee, basically.
Yeah, he seems suspicious. So who knows? It might still be a joke, but you know, at this point, as far as we can tell,
you're all dead.
Well, right, no, but it might be like an illusion. You know, like the Grand Priest is just hiding them in, like, they're in the void. Like
kind of like how whenever the first person fell, it was like, oh no, I'm gonna fall forever. No, you're gonna just fall into the stands.
Exactly. So they might be just tucked into somewhere, you know, or something like that might be happening. But as far as we know right now, poof, they are out of reality.
They're
itself.
in a different reality, though. It's okay.
Maybe. We don't know. But it was instant. Boom. Universe is gone. Everyone stopped fighting.
Yeah. They're like, oh, it's real.
And in this episode, there was a moment where I was sort of afraid of Xeno-sama, because he's just like, everyone stopped. And, you know, it was like one of those, what's the Twilight episode? Like, you're a bad man.
Oh.
I'm like, no.
Someone punch me in the face.
You know, I really had no clue what was going to come of that. Like, if he was just going to, you know, I didn't know. And so I want to launch from there. This episode, they eliminated, Krillin eliminated 3 people. 18 won?
18 teamed up with Krillin to eliminate one of those 3.
Okay. And then what else happened?
Vegeta fought the Universe 6 new fusion.
I did not see that coming.
Mm-hmm. It's like little tidbits like that. Like, I can't wait to see what other like silly little things they can pull. That's fun.
That's brilliant, because they had someone. Did the bot go against Blue Vegeta?
No.
I think it was Goku.
No, the robot fought Vegeta, but Vegeta only stayed Super Saiyan.
Okay, so anyways, something pretty high level, and now they have the being that they have just ground into us has no damage to his body, like covering his ears, taking away his basic only known weakness. You know, that was brilliant. I mean, it was kind of antic-y, but, like, brilliant. Okay, great.
there was also that moment before that fight with Hit and then those two guys coming towards Goku and Vegeta saying, time for some payback. Even though it was only a few seconds, it gave you the mindset of what's going to happen. Is Vegeta going to fight all three at once? It's like, there's like so many little moments of like, what's about to happen.
Who's the other guy besides Hit?
Botamo, which is the guy who can take all the hits, and Magenta, I think, the robot guy. Oh, cho.
Yeah, I thought Goku was just going to go past him and fight Hit.
We don't know what they're doing right now, right?
Yeah, that's probably what they're doing.
Who knows?
Obviously, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. But
obviously.
Obviously, yeah, hindsight. Ugh. Anyway, but they did that anime, I'm your opponent, thing.
Yeah.
And then what they did with it was pretty brilliant. And I'm just happy to see some more creative teamwork. Like, so far, Universe 7, in all Gohan's brilliance, just like, keep your backs to each other, and then we fight in all directions. Like, okay, that's right, but it's pretty boring. Like, organically, Goku and Vegeta did their, what is basically a step away from their fusion final Kamehameha. Like, they did the final Flash and Kamehameha at the same time. They combined their strengths to eliminate basically all of Universe, the dogs, at once. I mean, that's fun teamwork, but to actually use the guy with indefinite hit points who can just absorb all the damage to have him cover his ears, like, that's essentially a fusion. That's a really creative fusion. And it's going to be fun to see how they get him off of there or how they deal with that.
Everybody that's kind of competent is using teamwork to win so far, except
Hit?
Alternate Universe Frieza, him too. But Frost, yeah.
And of course Krillin gets eliminated by Frieza version 2. He's going to end up racist.
I want to see 18 just go on a rampage looking for him. That'll be fun. Who eliminated my hubby?
Didn't she see it happen?
She saw it happen, but she's like...
So that'll be a good fight.
Yeah. I mean, like, where did he go? Because he just disappeared right after.
Yeah. Oh, he's a stealthy assassin.
So, from Super, we have Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, audience, who guessed that that was Arya at the beginning? I'm raising my hand.
Yep, I'm raising mine too. The moment I saw, what was his name? Frey's face.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's dark. She's using his face to murder his whole family.
Yeah.
And, I'm imagining, how is she going to do it? She's got to be doing some sort of, roundabout method. And then she's like, serve the wine. And I'm just like...
Poison, yay!
Oh, she's using the sisters to poison the brothers. Holy shit.
I originally did not think it because I did not think she went nearly far enough in the training to change her voice like that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, every moment that went by, I was more sure. Like, there was that annoying voice in the back of my head, like, oh, it's a flashback. They're going to start out with a flashback. That makes sense. But I'm like, no, I don't think so. This just feels funny. And then they're like, it's funny that we're having this another feast, even though we just had a feast, and I'm usually a cheapskate. Ha, Dad, yeah, you are. But I love my family. Oh, yeah, Dad.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. And then... every second
he hates
that
his
went
family.
Forward, yes,
he's actively trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, especially his daughters.
Yes,
but, and then he just bitches about his son. That was interesting noise. So, by the time they serve the wine, I'm just waiting, and I said an opportune moment like, tell us, Arya Stark, why are you poisoning everyone? And the T-Man over here is just like, no, she can't change her voice like that. And
her
then
voice, come on.
Like, right after that, she goes, I'm not wasting good wine on you. And we're all just like, oh, it is.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, that wasn't it. It was the, what moment was it?
At that point,
I don't know,
No,
but
that was the moment.
everyone's face, like, you and I got it quickly. Like, I look back and you and I
it
were
was
both,
instant.
we had the same grin of like, oh god.
And I was like, are we on the same page here?
Mm-hmm.
As we so often are.
Yeah, Charles.
Stop stealing my jokes.
Yeah.
Knock,
well,
knock.
just gotta be quicker.
Knock knock.
Yours aren't worth it.
Oh.
You can if you have a joke, or
Spoilers.
if you have a joke, I'm not gonna steal it.
Thank you.
You're gonna REA
You
it.
can keep it.
But yeah, that was we waited all year, or was it more than a year since last
A little over.
for Game of Thrones, and man, they came out swinging with the murders.
Oh yeah,
all of Family Frey done. And boy, was that a dark phrase, like, you leave one wolf alive and the sheep are never safe. And just, girl, you mad.
Well, she checked, some names off her list.
Maybe, I guess. But actually, let's keep it on Arya for a second. Do you think that she's going to be killing those Lannister soldiers?
If they do something in front of her that she doesn't like, I think so. But otherwise, no.
How about you,
She
T-Man?
seemed pretty friendly with them.
All I'm hoping is that she doesn't have some type of change of opinion on her life path.
She won't. No.
You mean
Don't
that she's
worry
going to
about
become
it.
Gandhi?
So maybe I've been wrong all along. There's some good Lancers. No, to hell with that. Kill them all.
Oh wow, that's a little different. I thought that because it seemed pretty obvious. Like they're singing, the song went something like, "Gold is cold, but a woman's hands are warm," and it's just like dirty feels all over the place. And she's riding up, and my first impression was she was just going to kill him, and she's looking around at the swords, and then they had that shift where they're human too. They have families, and he's about to have his first wife. Or no, his first daughter.
His first wife,
His first wife. And
he's rich enough for all of them.
yeah, they have that moment of where she even tests the waters to see if she's safe. Like, do they trust me? I'm going to kill the queen. Oh, you sillies. And so what I think is going to happen, I think that she is going to... They set up the situation where she saves them, but I think that she's going to either give them a choice in that, it's like, go home now and face whatever consequence meets you. You'll at least have your lives and your wives. That was surprisingly poetic.
Yeah.
Or I think she's going to kill him mercifully. Like, so far, she's gotten really dark. Like, poison, not a fun way to go. Stabbing through the eye, not a fun way to go. Letting him bleed out, talking about the Hound, on the mountainside.
Yeah.
Not a good way to go. I think she's just going to...
Baking people into pies and feeding it to your
dad.
Patriarch, whatever.
Yeah, not a good way to go. She's gotten really creative with her killing methods and really brutal. Like, even when she's conservative, it's like, oh, that is a bad last few moments.
Has anyone had a nice peaceful death? Like, I think it's my time to go. I'm gonna just take a nap.
Yeah, the
A
Meister.
couple old people, yeah.
The Meister on the wall. I'm old. I'm done.
Oh, he was suffering at the end. You're like senile or something.
He died of old age.
Yeah.
Surrounded by people who respected him. I think that's as good of a death as you're gonna get. Besides like the people who just died in a moment of glorious combat, taking down 6 enemies with them or something, and that's just over glorification of war. I think that Arya is either going to kill them mercifully in their sleep or send them packing. But I don't think that she's going to let them just continue on, because they're going to where they're going to kill her kin and her family and the Northerners. And I think that she still has enough of that identity in her.
No, they were going to patrol.
Right. Up north. She's not stupid. She knows that Lannisters, first of all, the entire still living Lannister family is on her hit list. But second of all,
I think they were going to the twins.
Yeah, they were going, doesn't matter, they're going north of King's Landing.
Well, north of where they were, but
and they're doing it so that they quote unquote keep the peace. They're going to basically mop up her mess.
Right,
it's not just anyone's. It's she did that.
Yeah.
And she's making a statement, and they're going to fuck it up. And, they're also closer to where they can kill. I think she's aware that Sansa's alive at this point. Sansa's never been dead.
I don't know.
I think that she is aware that she's up north because she probably at least heard whispers of the Battle of the Bastards. I'd be really surprised if she hadn't gotten at least that intel. Like, she's not been in complete isolation, and plus she learned through her training with the faceless people, how to gather intel properly. Like, I have full faith in her ability to at least have heard whispers of these things. So they're going up where they are enemies of her family, and they're going up there to basically be troublemakers in the North, for lack of a better term, and doing so in such a way where, although they're good guys, when push comes to shove, they will kill their family. They will kill her family. So I don't think she's going to let them just go about that peacefully. She's going to give them a chance, or she's going to kill them. But she's not going to feed their, hey, guess what? Your wife had your kid. It was a boy.
Here, have some pie.
Yeah.
Have some celebration pie.
That's Arya. The Hound.
Yeah. I don't think there's too much to say about him. Like,
sure there is.
Who were the people that they found in the
Thoros
frozen?
of Mir, and I can't remember the other person.
Yeah, he's
do you mean the dead people?
Yeah, the dead people.
I'm not sure, actually.
Oh, come on! That was the family that the last family that him and Arya stayed with together. They took him in, they fed him, they did all this, and it was just a really nice scene. Their mother had passed, but they were living it up together.
Yeah.
And then finally,
and they offered to
hire him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his last act was after he found out they had gold, he killed them, and Arya had a big problem with that. He's like, it was either me or someone else. I did them a favor, And lo and behold, he's back with, actual religious folk,
Wait, he killed them?
Yeah.
I thought that... Didn't he say that the father killed the child?
That was the guess. Or wait, did he kill them, or did he just take away their gold?
I think he just left.
So he must have taken their gold, and that was what led them to die. Okay, I missed...
Yeah, because...
I took it as a death sentence, at the very least. I remembered that he was responsible for their death, and he definitely felt it. He played that every second, which is why I think I was so sure he actually did kill them, and not just take their gold. That's right, he just, backhanded them, it's just like, mine. And he's just like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was actually the opposite of what I said. So the reason he took it was so that they wouldn't be on someone's hit list, like a random...
Oh,
thief.
yeah, so they wouldn't be targeted.
Yeah, so,
That's bad logic.
Well, basically...
Give us your money. I don't have any. What do you mean you don't have any money?
Well, you're right. So then they're not worth the effort of killing them. It's a struggle.
Well, yeah, but if someone breaks into your house and they're like, give me your stuff. I don't have stuff.
Random passerby, they were trusting people. And so, they knew him all for, a few hours, And he actually, until recently, had been knowingly on... if you said the Hound, everyone would know that he was on the Lannister side, which is they're in the North, right? I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and a lot of people just know him because he's rather distinctive looking. It's not like he's just a random Lannister, blonde hair. That's 20% of the population or something. He has these huge scars on his head. He's a beast of a man.
He's not a Lannister himself,
right? That's what I'm saying is, he's really easy to spot, and he's on the Lannister side. So, Lannisters, you might not be able to spot Jaime Lannister if you've never seen him before. You know that he's got blonde hair. You know that he's supposed to be good-looking. He might... I don't even know what type of eyes he has. Let's say blue eyes for the sake of it. You have a conglomerate, but that could be a lot of people.
Yeah.
The Hound...
Yeah,
he's missing half of his hair. He's got half his face burnt off.
Yeah.
He's 600 pounds of muscle wearing this particular armor, and he has all of these features.
Yeah.
They've known him for a couple hours, and they weren't able to pick up on that. And they're just like, you big strong guy, how about you work for us? And he's just like, y'all are stupid. Give me that. So that way the next big scary guy...
I have my money hidden. I took it out of my hiding spot to show you to prove that I can pay you.
Yeah, and he almost literally says, you're a big scary guy. I need a big scary guy to take care of me. Here's my money. He's like, give me that. And so before they did that stupidly, he did that. But anyway, they didn't have the resources then to survive. And so... Yeah, that was really sad.
But he gave them a nice burial.
Yes. What I wanted to address was he found...
The vision and the flame?
Yeah, he found religion.
Kinda.
that's something he's like, once your mind gets stretched to a certain limit, it's not going to go back. Like, he can no longer go back and say, like, there's no god of bloody bloomin' light, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and him of all people with the fire.
yeah, that was beautiful. And even, you know, they broke the wall almost and was just like, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine that conversation? Like, you know, he dies and he's going to get resurrected, but in that moment he has like a moment of white background. He meets with God and he's just like, you know, the God's just like, I tried calling you when you were younger.
Got a little too close, young man.
But yeah, he found fucking
I sent
religion.
one of my messengers to deliver the fire to you. He got a little overzealous.
And so he's going up. They're probably going up north. You think, right? Then to where the wall meets the sea. Like, that's exciting because
Eastwatch.
That brings to that links another thing is I thought it was a bad move that they're sending only the wildlings up to man the wall because they're not the brightest of folk, and every person that dies fighting the dead army becomes a dead army. You know, you need some people of exceptional capabilities and ingenuity.
Yeah, but they know how at least how to deal with the undead army.
Well, yeah, the one guy,
they have a lack of sort of common sense, as most of the South would see it, south of the wall. But that's one thing that they're exceptionally good with.
Which ones?
The wildlings.
They're good at fighting the undead?
Yes.
When was that shown?
Whenever they had to come up with them.
But I thought that their way of dealing with it was just trying to run over the wall.
Yeah, because they knew that... Well, they've been dealing with them forever, right?
I guess, but, you know...
But now there's a horde.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so, I mean, like, they're...
The reason that everybody on the wall and south of it thinks that it's a myth is because the wildlings have been fighting them successfully. At least that's what I thought.
I thought the forces at B were just sleeping for like a millennium.
That too, and now they're up and they're coming to get you.
Yeah, mess stuff up. But I thought that they were just like, you know, like they can. For lack of a better way, they're good at like dismembering. So like, you know, if the skeleton's the problem, take them apart.
Yeah,
you know, they're smart enough for that. But if it's a horde, like, they're no good at tactics, as shown by Jon Snow talking to what's the redheaded guy's name that loves Brianna? Basically the unofficial king of the wildlings right now.
Yeah,
and he's just like, you know, we put up these walls so they don't try a flanking maneuver. You know, like they did to you to beat you. You know, a pincer move. They aren't going to hit us from the sides. Oh, that's good. And that was his like.
They're not formally trained like, you know, militarily, but they're good in a sort of, you know, one against 10 they can win. Right, but like that's why they were coming south.
Yeah,
because they aren't used to like a huge army.
So, but that's what I'm saying is like they are terrible with tactics.
They had to band together, and even that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, they're terrible with tactics. They're not very bright. They're super strong, but we need people like. Luckily, the Hound has fought, you know, in formal armies and has seen them at least. The other guys, they're soldiers, so they at least have some understanding of it. And then the one-eyed soldier that keeps getting brought back from the dead. His sword gets lit on flame. Like, that's going to be useful.
Yeah.
You know? So, they're bringing some level of ingenuity, also competence to the wall. And, so anyways, my whole point was, I thought it was a somewhat bad move to send only the wildlings to the wall, and I guess they're going to send one family out there, too. But... The
two 10-year-olds?
Yeah. No. They get to keep their houses. That was their thing. They got to keep their houses. But they're going to send... Every 10-year-old and up is going to be on battle. But that they're sending only the wildlings up on the most likely point to be hit, I was like, ooh, that's not a good move. But I look forward to seeing what they bring to that line of defense. Jon Snow did a great job leading. You know, like Sansa did everything she could to undermine him in the meeting.
Yeah,
you know, she so he was pretty popular, and then she took up a more popular stance and almost had like a little finger with drop. You know, and so John was just like, no, this is my final say. Here's why. And finally you could hear, you know, like it was almost like a low rumble and then an acceptance, you know, just like
and you could really hear the leader in him coming out.
We hear Targaryen coming out.
Yes.
The Targaryen coming out.
The Starkarian.
He's the best of all worlds, that one. So, yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I was really satisfied, you know, seeing him sort of continue on his leadership style from the wall and sort of, you know, just growing from it and adopting the best of Eddard Stark. May he rest in peace, please. And
no, he might be a White Walker. You never saw his head get cut off.
As well as, like, he didn't just, like, this is my decision, la, 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 la. He was like, no, there's a reason I'm maintaining this. And he took a moment and thought, no, this is the kind of people that we need to be right now. I see what you're saying. This is what we need at this moment, you know?
Yeah.
Bam! Good job, John. You know, and that was a test, you know? He could have caved in. And, like, to roaring applause, by the way. Like, if he would have said, you're right, kill the kids! They would have been like, yeah! You know, but no, he kept with it. He articulated well. He thought about it. And, yeah, that was a really well put together scene.
Yes, it was.
Anything else you guys want to address? I mean, Daenerys...
Yes, the ending of the episode.
We can leave that at the end. Does anyone want to talk about the Reek's uncle?
Reek's uncle?
Yeah.
The
Ironborn.
Oh,
like that whole thing happening.
Squid people, as you called them.
Yeah. By the way, bringing it back to anime, did anyone notice the hentai ship? I squealed.
I don't have too much to add about that. He crazy.
He's obviously crazy, and I greatly dislike Cersei. Ooh,
does anyone like Cersei? Come on.
Actually, surprising amount of people. Like, she's a strong woman. Like, she's crazy. Oh, but what about what's that Blank's pistol where you put a pistol on the stage? Use it.
Chekhov's
gun. Yeah.
Chekhov's gun. Way to use that trope against us. Like, I thought that they is that a trope or what is that called?
Yeah, trope.
Okay. I thought for sure since they started out, they had Jaime talking to Cersei. He was able to pinpoint exactly where they're going to come ashore, and that's where they wound up coming ashore, leading into the ending where you guys want to get to. They had that whole conversation. They presumably had a couple weeks while they were out at sea to go there and set up traps. The music cuts off as Daenerys, Tyrion, and everybody gets off the ship. They come up and it's this ominous feeling, you know, everything's sort of deserted and, you know, oddly so. And yeah, anyways, I'll let you guys talk a little bit. Like, the scene is being set, and I thought it was brilliant how, you know, they finally get to the dusty room where Stannis Baratheon was the last one there, and his pieces are still on the board, covered in dust. And she says,
"Shall we begin?"
Dun 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 dun. Like, I thought for sure that, you know, green flame was going to engulf them. You know? Like, I was sure.
I am ready to see her just kick some ass. I have been waiting for this for too long. Right now, she is my number one for taking the throne. And I want to see her succeed. And I want to see dragons just mess things up.
So we were talking about whether or not she could survive the green flames.
Yeah, what was that called? Wildfire?
Yeah.
I don't think she could. I think that's is that a type of fire that can kill dragons? It's supposed to be right on par with dragon flame.
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Experiment time.
No, that's what I was afraid of. At the very least, taken Tyrion out. And it was very ominous how, by the way, the Ironborn uncle was just like, I know I have to gift you a gift, and I won't be back to the King's Landing until I got it. Like, he's obviously setting something up for Tyrion and her, and that's either going to go really good or really bad for your theory, T-Man.
Well...
Like, I can't see him getting anything else.
There's so many things that went off the rails compared to the books. I hope that the thing that he's getting as a gift is what is going on in the books in the Iron Islands.
As I understand, that would be a good way to tie that in. But we'll see. Like, it's so exciting. I kind of hold to what the T-Man says about Daenerys. She's going to end up reigning, I think, hopefully. But I don't think it's because she'll be the winner. Everybody, after all the dominoes fall. I think that Jon is going to team up with Daenerys for a lot of reasons. But I think that they're going to say something to the effect of, it doesn't matter who's sitting on the Iron Throne or whose corpse is on the Iron Throne. Right now, we have a bigger threat. And right now, Daenerys is sitting on top of Dragon's Glass, the one thing that can help them, besides the steel no one knows how to make. And, that's such a valuable resource. He's like, I think that Jon has the chance to become the embodiment of the Stark family. Like, when the Targaryens originally came in, I forget which Stark was on the throne, but he bent the knee. He was known as the king who knelt. Mm-hmm. I think that he's going to embody that with Daenerys, and he's going to say, fine. And then something's going to come out of that. Like, either she's going to recognize his capacity and make him something equivalent to a hand, or like if the monarchy is going... I don't think that she's going to... I think that, she said she's going to break the wheel. I think that she's going to break that, like, and make sort of something equivalent to a republic, or, of course she'll be like, head honcho, but something where,
No, she likes being queen too much.
She really does like ruling. But there's a lot of character development between here and there that I think is going to precipitate her needing more situational power and creating stronger subjects. And right now people are weak because they just need to be ruled and told everything. And, she's already dealt with the problems of making a wrong call, the problems of, I want to be slaves, There's a lot of complex issues that arise from subjects basically being weak and, feeling the need to backstab in order to gain political power. I don't know how she's going to address it, but I think that's somehow they're going to. But that's just speculatory, of course.
She'll make everyone bow to her power.
Jon Snow's going to have a lot of power by the end of it, too.
He kind of has a lot of power now, even though he's not Lord Commander anymore. Or is he technically?
No, he quit. He's like,
well, he's kind of like,
watch ended.
He's kind of like, I'm out of here, but like, did they get a new one, or is he?
Yeah,
is he just like technically still there, but
no, he's done. He took his last breath. He's freed from his oath until he takes it again.
That's true.
It's his buddy, the guy that's
Lord Commander now.
The guy who met Brandon, and the what's her name?
Yeah, they're Stark.
Yeah. No, he's not Stark. Brandon is, but the guy who met him at the wall at the beginning of the episode. I thought that he's the new Lord Commander.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because he wasn't anywhere. What's going on with Brandon? He just kind of like showed up in the beginning of the episode, and we didn't hear anything from that again.
I think it was at a different castle or fort or whatever.
That could be. I don't know, though.
That's the only reason why they wouldn't talk to him.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Unless they really just don't care.
I like what they're making him into.
Brandon?
What he said, his ominous facade, like, he's starting to become that crazy, prophet guy, at a young age. And he just looked at this guy, he's like, you've seen this.
Though that's like the worst excuse in the world. Like, prove you're not a wildling. Well, I saw this thing that you also saw while we were north of the wall. So either I'm a wildling or part of the Night's Watch. What do you think?
That's like now that I'm thinking about that scene critically, that's kind of like bureaucracy for the sake of bureaucracy. Like, what wildlings are they keeping north of the wall at this point? You know what I mean? Like, they marched the wildlings past the wall.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, what are they doing? Like, they knew about that. They were there when it happened.
Prove you're not a wildling. Well, I am. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like, exactly. Like, if you took that route, like,
okay, well, like,
what's the next step?
Come this way, sir.
Like, he's just like, oh yeah, it's the modern era. So yeah, that was unique. It was just there, I think, for like a texture thing. It was a nice little tiny aside. In a similar way,
or it could be like one of those weird things where it's like out of chronological order, like how Daenerys crossed the ocean in the same amount of time it took to have a funeral for Cersei's kids or whatever.
Yeah, she's just I will make one more comment about the Jaime Cersei scene. That she's painting the world on the ground.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that said a lot. The whole world is beneath her, and this is what our father has.
And she's standing on top of it.
Mm-hmm. And this is what our father gave to us. And Jaime, like, you can tell he's struggling with this.
Yeah,
like,
he's just like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, and she obviously is. But
she is.
Besides that, he's just like, a legacy for what? We're gonna live for like 30 years, and she's like, for us, and like she has no response to it, and he's just like, lady, like,
ma'am,
yeah,
you crazy,
and for the amount of time she takes to enemies to the south, enemies to the east, enemies to the west, enemies to the north, and he's just like, that don't sound too good, and she's like, well, you, and like that was like she had nothing to say to it, but like besides that, oh, but I'm great, and like it's like you didn't even address what I just asked or what you said even like 4 minutes ago. She's like, don't you think I learned anything? No, I don't think you did. Or if you did, you read like a chapter or something, maybe a lot. Like, I mean, she just lost it, but the visuals there were really well placed.
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of how she sees the world, as just like this caricature of the world underneath her. It has nothing to do with the landscapes. Like, you can't see the details.
And the edge of the wall is still unpainted.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah. So
why are you painting the wall? Get out of here.
Yeah. Stupid. Yeah. Let me see.
Doesn't matter.
Jaime, Brandon, who else is there? I feel like we're missing somebody.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the guy, I forgot his name, at the Grand Maester's hangout spot.
Oh,
yeah.
Samwell.
That was really well directed.
Yeah, we said, and that's funny. We forget that one. We were like, that's the best the best scene in Game of Thrones history.
Yeah, I really like the editing in that section.
As the voice to Kensho Kan, the Taoist dragon, the head Meister did Taoism wrong, and as the brain behind the Taoist dragon, T-Guy.
That really just burned my cannoli.
How did he do Taoism wrong?
Because he's like,
Well, first of all, I don't think he was trying to do Taoism, but how did he do it wrong?
Basically, he's like, we've always had bad things happen. People thought it was going to be the end, but things just kept on going. And so right now, with all the undead coming, he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Things will just keep on going. Society will live on. Bitch, the reason that happens is because people do something to stop it. If you sit on your ass, that doesn't mean that it'll just kind of go away. Other people are doing the work for you.
No, someone will handle it.
That's basically that. Someone will handle it, so no one should deal with it.
No, he didn't. He said it'll handle itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that, it's not that we have this knowledge. He acknowledges that Sam's probably telling the truth, that he's probably there for that purpose, and he might even... I actually don't think he said anything about the utility of finding the knowledge that's hidden away in those volumes. He acknowledges that there's information in those volumes, but it's just a matter of whether or not it's essential that the people fighting the war gets it.
Forbidden lore.
It's forbidden lore and can only be looked at as maesters. Are you a bureaucrat? Are you one of our registered maesters? Well, no, but if you want to make me one, that's what I'm asking you literally right now. And I think that Sam has at least at some point proven that he's cognitively capable.
Well, he was the what would you call it, squire kinda to Aegon.
Yeah, and he was sent there. Wasn't he sent there with a raven, or that he was going to be the next maester on the wall? That actually
I don't
happen?
know if he had that, but he was certainly sent there with that intention, and Aegon raised him with that, as his successor.
So is this actually, are we going back to Taoism? Is this one of those things where he has to chop wood for 5 years?
I don't know what they're planning. I just know I don't like those freaking maesters. Oh, if it wasn't for us, the whole society would just fall apart. Hey, something's about to destroy society. Well, it'll fix itself. It's like, you literally just bragged about how if it wasn't for you, society would fall apart. There is a threat now that'll make society fall apart. Do the thing you just bragged about.
Yeah, so that was cringy. And I don't think it was an accident, by the way, that he is disemboweling somebody as he says that. He is literally focusing on one aspect of the person at a time. So again, they're telling story. So if anything I'm saying is taking anybody by surprise, listen to the dialogue, and that's what most people focus on. But also look at what they're doing and the visuals surrounding the show. These guys are brilliant in how they portray a story visually, auditorily. Every single aspect has gotten so much attention. It's worth a second watch, although we've only seen it once, and these are my first impressions. Brilliant direction.
Yeah, I liked the scene at the end with Daenerys, where she's just going over the map, and it's covered in dust. And it's like, let's begin.
Yeah,
let's get the dust off.
Yeah, and
let's dust these kingdoms off and make it anew.
Yeah, she doesn't focus on wiping the dust, but she puts her hands down, and you could see the dust.
You could
clear.
See the trails.
It was just her presence. Yeah. Just by touching that, it begins, and that board is a pretty good representation of Westeros.
Yeah.
And
that's its purpose.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so beautifully done. And as you adjust your perspective, I mean, think about the castle itself. You zoom in at the present moment, and there's these perfectly, current representations of Westeros. Pause that for a moment. Zoom out over time. That castle formerly belonged to Stannis Baratheon. And it's no accident that it's, Daenerys is, I think, the first one to walk in. She's certainly the first one to walk in the room. I actually made I made a comment, she's with her guards, and then they're like, wait, stop. Just you're going in unknown territory, wait, just in case it's dangerous, let her go. And so, there was the old rule, that's dead. And so at that moment, it is represented by the dirt and everything. But, to go back, the former ruler is dead. Even as that, and then before that, it belonged to the Targaryens. And so, all the patterns are in place. You could look at this scene, as a functional representative of the time in that moment. But if you sort of zoom out across time, that palace is representative of, what they need at that moment because of the dragon glass, what they needed in the last revolution because that was the island that Stannis held that made the fish knight, right?
Onion Knight? You mean?
Onion Knight, sorry, yeah. The Onion Knight.
Yes.
That was the one that he had to hold.
Yeah.
So it was important in that revolution too, which harkens back to what the bad Taoist was saying, is that everyone thought the world was going to end at that point too. That has been, an important point, and who's ever held there, that's the next family that rules. It's kind of like the crux of that world.
And it's also the first place that the
Targaryens,
the incoming Targaryens, landed.
Beautiful dragon imagery. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big fan of dragons, and so also a fan of the aesthetic. So yeah, I just wanted to say, you can take that scene just as it is, but take a moment and get your thoughts. Like, actually think about the castle, the building itself. Think about the island itself, and images and motifs start to just appear, and it's not at random. It's very specific. It's really amazing what Martin has done with this world, what the direction and the show has done with it. So yeah, lots of aspects to appreciate about GOT.
Yeah, great first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing intro, wonderful ending.
I'm really looking forward to next week, and I'm really looking forward to episode 6.
Why 6?
Because it ends on 7, and this episode before the end episode is when things happen.
Yep, only 7.
Oh, All right. Well, I think that does it for today. So, see you next time.